Hello Gobs, and welcome back to another episode of RPG Horror Stories. If you're not a Gob, subscribe and become a Gob today, because I am the Goblin King. And if you don't want to be a Gob, well, subscribe anyway, so you don't have to be a Gob. You don't have to be a funny little green person running around, okay? But I have some horror stories for you today, because you guys love them. But not only that, I do other content on this channel. Check out my channel trailer to find out everything that I do on this channel. I am reading RPG horror stories off of the subreddit, and if you want your horror story to possibly be read, well, I guess you can post it there. I might find it eventually, or you can post it to my subreddit in the description below, and all the other places I have social media there. So if there's any other place that you use and you want to reach out to me, well, check my social media and maybe you can just send it there. Whatever, and let's just get on with today's episode. Don't forget to read that disclaimer, and these may or may not be real. That is up for you to decide. As I always say, are you guys tired of hearing that yet? Anyways, let's get on to our horror stories. Episode 24. Look, once we reach episode 30, 50, maybe I should make it a subscriber. I'll tell my own RPG horror stories, because I have a couple. But for now, we are just reading the subreddit. So, roll the title segment. Our first story comes from Red Hood 101101. If you know binary, translate that for me. Learning a new game is hard, so I'm having AI build me a new game system. In quotation marks, okay? This is obviously gonna hate on AI, which I have a God branch coming out shortly, or maybe it's already out and then I uploaded this video, or maybe I uploaded this and then that one comes out. Regardless, there is a God branch on AI either coming out or already out. So I give my thoughts on AI, and yeah, go check it out. Let's see what this short and lighthearted story has to say. I saw an ad online in an LFG that looks interesting. The GM was looking for players for a game that was a mix of traditional fantasy elements in a cyberpunk world. They mentioned that they were building their own game system in their post. I figured I'd shoot them a message because it seemed like kind of a neat idea for a setting, and I've recently been getting into a lot of game design theory. I messaged the GM and we started chatting about the game and such, and I asked why he wanted to build his own game system rather than use Cyberpunk or Shadowrun or something. That's a lot of work. You have to read the books, learn how to run the game, learn all the lore. It was easily just to have ChatGPT help me make a game. 1. The irony of a cyberpunk game being made by AI, which was lost on him when I pointed it out. Maybe a sign he knows nothing about cyberpunk other than neon. 2. In what world is designing, writing, proofreading, balancing, etc. your own game system easier than reading a book? And 3. Typing "make a TTRPG" into AI is not designing a game. Surprisingly, after I pointed out these things, he said that he didn't want me in his game. I suspect most people are that way since he's still putting up ads for it. That is the end of our sweet and short horror story, and it looks like OP may have dodged a bullet here. While it is true that designing your own TTRPG sounds very fun, it is also very, very time-consuming and taxing, and that's usually why most TTRPGs require a bunch of people if they're not rules light. Now, if you do it rules light and throw in a little bit of rules and you're just more typing out lore for a world, then that's much different and much easier. But here, you're trying to design your entire game system. Yeah, it's not going to work as easy as just putting it into ChatGPT, because as with any AI, it draws on other sources. Because it draws from so many sources at a time, it jumbles up information. And I don't think any amount of progress will ever stop it from being able to acutely put out information. And if it does, it's still not your own. It's still someone else's work that ChatGPT, whatever, has narrowed in on. I hate AI. Spoiler warning for my video, but that's how I feel about it. So guys, remember, if you want to make your own TTRPG, get a group of like-minded individuals to help you out. That way you can have someone write the lore, or you could be like the producer, and then you have everyone else kind of helping you with these ideas, with balancing, because that's a big thing in game systems unless it's super heavy narrative, but you still need rules, and you want to make sure those rules are cohesive and make sense. So get your friends, or like I said, maybe find a Discord, get some like-minded individuals. You could do what this person did, except instead of using ChatGTP, just look for other people who want to make a system similar to yours and get their help on it. That's what I did. I reached out to my friends. I made up a little system. It wasn't that good, but I mean, I'm just an individual with no advanced education trying to make something that I probably know nothing about. But anyways, I still played it with my friends and they gave me their feedback, and that's usually how it goes. So, that's all the advice I have. What do you guys think about AI? Tell me in the comments below, and let's move on to our next horror story. Our next story comes from Unfair Bear 1894, another short one. My DM thought instant death and sexual harassment were good DMing. SA warning, obviously. So, I've been playing in this campaign for a while, but the last 3 sessions have been a slow motion train wreck. First off, the combat balance is just absurd. In the last 3 sessions, we fought beholders. Our DM made up a homebrew rule. If you roll a natural 1 against the beholder, it gets to use a reaction to hit your character with all 10 eye rays at the same time, including disintegration, which he conveniently resolves last to guarantee death. 2 characters have already died this way. We all told him how unfair it was, and his only response was, well, it only happens when you get a 1, so what? Am I supposed to just not attack the beholder? But the latest session was the final straw. We were fighting plant monsters. Our high AC tank is a female character. Oh no. The DM had a vine attack grabber. Fine, whatever. But then for no reason decided to say the vines went inside her armor with a smirk. Everyone kind of nervously laughed at first, but then he kept going. He described the vines touching her. Oh no, that's no good. They were touching, I don't have to say anything. You guys are adults, you know what's happening. Roll a con save to see if you finish or not. That was it for me. I just got up and left the table. That's the end of our story, guys. This one isn't so, sweet. Luckily, it is short, that's for sure. Well, what can I say? The first part, all natural 1, is having the homebrew rule that the beholders shoot all their beams at you. It's incredibly dumb, especially when you have martial characters that have multi-attack and action surges and whatever else, and they're rolling more dice than everybody else. I guess you're just asking for a divination wizard with the lucky feat, so no one can ever roll a 1. But the second half, yeah, you guys should have just if you guys are uncomfortable with something, just stop it. Just tell them, hey, that's not cool. Don't let it get that far. Just nip it in the bud. The OP did a good thing and just getting up and leaving. But everyone else, everyone together should just collectively say that they're uncomfortable and tell the DM that. Sounds like this DM was just unfun to play with, and make sure you find better stories. If someone ever suggests that in that one do anything of the sort, I have a God branch where I actually talk about what I think about Nat 1s and critical fumbles, as they called, and I hate all of them, including this one is probably one of the worst ones I've seen. What is wrong with you humans? I'm just kidding. Remember, guys, this isn't... You're seeing the concentrated toxicity of one thing. But anyways, if it's online, you can just leave. If it's RIL, well, you could do the same thing. And if you rode with someone, just tell them that you're uncomfortable and you want to go, and they should probably understand. If they don't understand, find an Uber, call someone else. Even if it's awkward, it's better than sitting in, something that's going to stick in your mind forever. So that's all I have to say. And we are going to move on to our hopefully lighter story. I have no idea when it comes to me finding stories to read. Our next story comes from Dagoff Uro. I hope I said that right. Conflict scolding. Ever get a party that always manages to force a campaign of diplomacy no matter how obviously evil an enemy is? Like it turns into a pacifist Undertale game? I quit playing with a long-time group after it devolved into a collective wrestling of the first player to roll an attack without trying to talk first. One time, it was literal skeleton guards. I roll to attack them. DM decides they're friendly, whimsical skeletons, and the session ends up being the party joking with the skeletons and no rounds of combat. Another time, it's animals in an ancient crypt, and they end up talking and guilt-tripping the party for every NPC monster we had killed. That one was literally an old pre-written dungeon from like 2E, so I know that moralizing was ad-libbed in. The latest one saw an awkward intra-party conflict, where the DM ran a 2E module meant to be a one-shot but continued into a sandbox. He decided player death was too easy, so allowed a dead player killed by a mummy to continue as a ghoul-type creature. This player proceeds to plan to spread an undead curse and scheme against the party. This was to the DM despite being hostile and slowing the pace to a halt, but several party members try to tip off the rest and characters. And the ghoul character goes and tells the party cleric they're an undead monster, but they feel bad about it. And they in character carry water for the ghoul player, and the party decides it's the players pointing it out who are being suspicious and untrustworthy. DM says the town priests and guards could be asked for advice, so after giving a description decides, well, you said the undead character was a halfling, so the townsfolk do a program on halflings, and it's all your character's fault. Pogrom? An organized massacre of a particular ethnic group. Oh, okay. You learn something new every day, folks. Meanwhile, the ghoul character is described as suddenly being stark white with huge claws and shows up for detect evil and detect undead, etc. I get the DM trying to rein in party infighting, but maybe it's not the best stance if you let a player be an evil monster in a party with multiple lawful good casters. On top of that, the DM was boycotting 5e due to some ethical stance, but was fine with running 2e D&D, heavily modified because they realized how hard it was, so they removed Thaco. In original D&D rulebook Min and Magic 1974, page 109, a chart was provided to determine the roll needed to hit based on the attacker's level and the target's armor class. A separate chart on page 20 determine monsters to hit values based on their dice, i.e. hit dice. I guess Thaco's just like a 2-hit, I guess, in old editions of D&D. You learn something new every day, folks. Anyways, added death saves back in and more or less ended up back at 3.5 after all the mechanical punch pulling to keep player characters alive. It's like they like the idea of hardcore gaming, but not the reality of it. So combat rarely happens, or is frowned upon when it does if it steps on any potential DM NPCs. Well, at least it's a bit better than the previous two. I guess you should just speak up and say that you wanted to play 3.5 rather than trying to play 2E and whatever. This sounds like a big Rule Zero discussion. What type of campaign, what type of game does everybody want to play? That sort of stuff. And if you're not happy with it, then just speak up about it. You know, if you really want to play 5e, then let them know that you want to play 5e. But aside from that, this sounds like, you know, if everybody wants to do pacifist mode, you know, they want to talk everything out, then I think that should be welcome, especially if it's the party majority. Does it suck if someone wants to fight? Sure. But the DM should have both options where everybody fights and options where everybody talks to give all players something to eat. It's like having a bard but not having any social interactions. On the flip side, it's like having a barbarian and a fighter with no way to show off their strength prowess. And yeah, this all just comes back to session 0. So guys, talk it out. I don't think I've actually said that in a while. So talk it out. I'm looking at you, DMs. Talk it out with your party. And party, I'm looking at you. Talk it out with your DM, whether it's text message, voice call, or in person, talk it out. And that is our stories for today. What did you guys think? Do you have your own advice? Maybe you have your own input about the stories I've read. And that will do it for today. I have nothing else to say, no added homage, no fancy, extravagant outro. I am a plain Jane, simple gobtuber. And if you want to see more, subscribe. My social media's in the description. Although I don't post that much because I don't like using social media. I like to be on social media, I just don't like to use it. But anyways, it's all in the description below. And remember guys, if you want me to read your stories or potentially read them, go ahead, shoot me an email, write it in the subreddit, or even put it in the comments. Yes, I saw your comment in the last video. It will eventually be put into a YouTube horror story special eventually. So keep writing those stories, keep shooting them at me, and eventually I'll get around to reading them all. Without nothing more to say, I hope you gobs have a lop of a day. May your adventures be free from horrible people.